One mistake, one bad moment, one unfavorable first impression, and suddenly, in someone's mind, everything about you is wrong. Your competence, your character, your intentions, your entire value buried under the weight of a single negative detail. Is that fair? No, it isn't. Yeah, it is not. Is it happening to you and happening in your own judgment of others right now? Absolutely yes. This is called Horn effect bias. Horn effect bias is bias number 32 in our 225 plus bias series. My name is Cussons, Africa's premium high performance thinking and strategic execution expert. The Horn effect is the direct cognitive opposite of the halo effect we just discussed, and it is equally powerful and equally dangerous. Where the halo effect allows one positive threat to illuminate everything else favorably, the Horn effect allows one negative threat, one negative flaw, one negative mistake, or unfavorable impression to cast a shadow so dark it contaminates the entire perception of a person, the entire perception of a brand, a product, or an idea. So one negative attribute grows horns, and those horns puncture everything else. Remember the halo effect. One positive becomes the measurement criteria. This one negative becomes the measurement criteria. Now, the person who mispronounced a word in a presentation is suddenly not intelligent, suddenly unintelligent. The brand that had one product recall is suddenly untrustworthy across all its offerings. The employee who missed one deadline is suddenly unreliable in all responsibilities. The partner who forgot one important date is suddenly uncaring about the entire relationship because he forgot the birthday or an anniversary. One data, one data point, then you see everything becomes negative. One negative signal, one moment of failure, one moment of weakness or imperfection, and the entire person, the entire brand, the entire opportunity gets filed under dismissed. The Horn effect doesn't weigh evidence, it weaponizes the little evidence it sees. This happens in our businesses, in our relationship. So, in business, a highly qualified candidate arrives for a senior management interview. Her CV is exceptional: 15 years of progressive leadership, a track record of scaling teams, and measurable results that speak powerfully for all, speak powerfully for themselves, speak powerfully in the face of any other evidence. But in the first 5 minutes, under the pressure of a high stake interview environment, she stumbles on a word, she stumbles about a recent industry issue, she stumbles on a question about development or anything. She recovers quickly and handles the rest of the interview with precision, depth, and general authority. But the panel chair, who prided himself on staying current with industry trends, has already fired her. She didn't know that. How can she lead at this level without knowing this? She's careless. She's not a thorough person. She's not detailed. The Horn effect has spoken. One gap in one area of knowledge, in one moment of pressure, has cast its shadow over everything, over 15 years of demonstrated evidential excellence. She doesn't get the role. A less experienced candidate who happened to know that specific trend because he had read about it the previous week gets hired instead. Since much later, the team is underperforming, the hire is struggling with the complexity of senior leadership. And the panel chair, if he were honest with himself, would trace the root of that decision back to one question that one excellent candidate answered imperfectly under pressure. So, this also devastates brand perception in a business. A restaurant that has served exceptional food and outstanding hospitality to the low and mighty for 9 years, has one has had one terrible evening, understaffed, slow service, a poorly prepared dish, a customer who experienced that one night writes a scathing review about this organization, this restaurant. The horn effect activates in every reader of that review, contaminating 9 years of excellence with one difficult evening. Well, this teaches us carefulness. One horn, 9 years of halo, dismantled. The semi-relationships, a man discovers that his business partner with whom he has worked successfully and honestly for 4 years made a decision without consulting him. It wasn't malicious, it was poor judgment in a pressured work environment. No financial damage was done. The partner apologized sincerely and immediately, but the honey effect has already done its work. If he did this once, who knows what else he has done without telling me? He extrapolates. Maybe I never really knew him. Maybe everything needs to be reviewed now, again, and moving forward. 4 years of demonstrated integrity, 4 years of, uncontaminated integrity is now contaminated by one lapse in judgment. The man becomes guarded. He introduces layers of oversight that signal distrust. The partner feels the shifts, feels unwanted, feels unloved. The relationship, which was genuinely valuable and genuinely honest, begins to fracture. It wasn't fracturing because the partnership was broken. It was fracturing because of the horn effect bias. Yeah? The horn effect convinced one person that one mistake was a window into a hidden truth rather than an isolated human failing, a mistake. The semi-romantic relationships, the horn effect can be equally devastating. A partner discovers one lie, perhaps a minor one, perhaps a significant one. And instead of addressing that specific lie in its specific context, the horn effect does what? Rewrites the entire history of the relationship. Every loving gesture is now re-examined for hidden motive. Every act of generosity is now suspected of concealing an agenda. There's a reason you are doing this. What did you do? Every expression of care is now filtered through the lens of, but they lied, but he lied. One horn, and suddenly the entire landscape of the relationship is redrawn in shadow. So we're always interested in the fixes. There are 3 moves you can make now. Immediately apply them and genuinely liberate yourself from this. Number 1 is isolate the negative before allowing it to spread. When you encounter a negative threat, a mistake, or an unfavorable impression, contain it immediately. Ask the question, does this specific failure, flaw, negative signal actually say anything reliable about this person's performance, character, or value in the areas that matter most for my decision? A candidate who doesn't know one industry trend may still be an extraordinary leader. A restaurant that had one bad evening may still be the finest in the city. A partner who made one poor judgment call, poor judgment step must still be fundamentally trustworthy. Evaluate the specific negative in a specific context before allowing it to contaminate your entire perception. Don't allow it to spread. That doesn't mean you won't be careful. Number 2, build a deliberate counter-evidence practice. When the horn effect is activated, when one negative has colored your perception of a person, of an opportunity, deliberately and systematically recall the positive evidence. Write it down if necessary. List the specific examples of competence, integrity, reliability, and value that existed before the negative signal arrived. Then ask yourself the question and ask it honestly. Does this one negative outweigh the whole of the positive that I have experienced all this while? Does this one negative outweigh this body of positive evidences I have? Or have I simply allowed it to feel like it does? The horn effect wins through emotional intensity. It doesn't win through logical ways. Counter it with deliberate documented evidence. Then number three, in relationships, address the specific, not the global. When someone you love or work with does something wrong, address that specific thing in that specific context, rather than allowing the whole effect to expand into global indictment of their character, their history, their intentions. You will go into argumentum ad hominem, attacking the person. Say, what you did in this situation hurts me and I need us to address it. Rather than, this shows me who you really are and now I question everything. The first approach solves the problem. The second approach, driven by the whole effect, dismantles the relationship over evidence that in isolation may not warrant that conclusion. So, there is a truth about the horn effect that I need you to carry into every judgment you make from this day forward. One mistake is data. It is not a verdict. One bad moment is information. It is not a life sentence. One negative impression is a signal worth examining. It's not a court ruling worth acting on without appeal. The candidate who stumbled on one question may be your best hire ever. The partner who made one poor decision may be your most valuable long-term collaborator. Don't allow it to lead to divorce. The brand that had one bad evening may still deserve your loyalty and your grace. The person who told one lie may be someone whose fuller story, if you stayed long enough to hear it, will reveal something more complex and more human than one moment of a failure. So, here is the mirror this bias holds up to you personally. For you, I mean you and me. Someone out there has assigned you horns you don't deserve. Someone fired you under, not good enough, based on the moment that was not representative of who you are. It has happened to me, that happened to you. Someone dismissed your value, your competence, your character, based on one signal that your full story would completely contradict. That is unjust when it happens to you. Make sure you are not doing it to someone else. Extend that grace you wish you had. Extend that grace you wish had been extended to you. Extend that grace. Evaluate fully before you conclude finally. And never let one shadow convince you there is no light inside this room. This is bias number 32. One hand does not define the whole animal. In others or in you, always maintain grace. Share this with every leader, hiring manager, and person in relationship who needs to learn the difference between a data point and a verdict. I will always ask you, when was the last time you and me fed the mind that makes the money? Click the link below. Remember to share and comment and like and subscribe. See you tomorrow.